Hello, future self. I am feeling very dichotomous. I am both feeling like my self confidence has been shattered and like super duper artist human. Woo! So I'm just gonna talk about arts because that's the part that's making me not cry. You know, it's only jobs and money that are making me upset. So, um, I'm done. I made a room full of objects, and they are all around, and they are very nice to hang out in. And good thing this is like just Amnesia Diaries documentation and not like actual real serious documentations. Where should I start? Let's start at the beginnings. Whoosh. So this is the first piece I did. This was basically what I intended when I came, was to make a large scale installation. And I started with the black, and I made this kind of like chandelier-ish thing. And I hated it so much. And then laying in bed at night, I was like, why do you hate it? Why do you hate it? And I realized I needed sort of a loopy, like cone-shaped volume. So then I added this sweet hunk of lovin' over here, this pink cone with this very nice, like, sort of droopy belly. Droop. And I really liked that, but I didn't have these hanging bits. So next I worked up here, these like purple areas, and it was feeling sort of unanchored, and I really wanted to build a column. So then I worked on sort of like how to make these floor anchors and this more triangular volume. I wanted it to have more air in the middle and also have this like striped space so that they look more like slices. And then I realized that that looks like a palm tree. Every time I look at it now, the purple just looks like a palm tree. Oh, that's a good area. I'm gonna take a bunch of photographs too, so there'll be real documentation, not just me meandering around. And then once I got the palm tree and the chandelier and the cone, that's when I started with this this light pink sort of dangly bits. It was really important to me to use color blocking. I didn't want it to be, at least this piece, I didn't want it to be sort of like every color everywhere all the time, very like chaotic. I wanted it to be very sectional. And I liked how this gave a very airy light pink that kind of climbs over onto the chandelier in a very vine, floral, natural kind of way. It's nice to be under and be walking through. Next came this blue panel over here, which I love it. Same anchors as I developed over there. And a lot of this work was compositional, but it was also just down to sort of hanging strings and tensioning them and figuring out the geometry of sort of like how to anchor them in the room and tie them so that I could get, things in the right spot that I wanted. Also, while being able to walk around the room and not like choke myself to death on all the cables. This one's nice because as the fan turns, it sort of like gently floofs out. And then I also added this pink one over here. And then we played around with adding some AR stuff and some connecting that to some VR stuff and just sort of like playing around with those things. And I got really frustrated with this area because it felt almost completed before I put these white panels up. Almost completed, but I also didn't want to overwork it. There was like this really big tension. And I turned away and I just started making all of these drawings. So these are done. All this paper, which I packed in my suitcase to bring here, which was bought at a store in the Mission at home that I just love and went out of business. And I was at their last sort of sale trying to I don't know, hold on to something from there. And so this is the packaging that all of the paper came in, and we bought some white paint markers to draw on them with. And all of these drawings happened in one morning, just one after the other, after the other, after the other, and they were super satisfying to make. And then once I had them, that material sort of opened up more things to add, because I didn't want to add more sort of like dense color to this installation and this sort of like more translucent open area with these layered transparencies really, I think, brought it together. And then doing this little area sort of like broke open the rest of the space and made me feel like I could really explore more stuff elsewhere. And more of those drawings came over here. Actually, hold on. Let me turn the lights off because that thing is much, much better in the dark. So you might be able to tell, I don't know, but the screen is showing a lavender purple gradient to a center white thing. So it is glowing sort of more densely in the center with white just because the drawings are denser there, so they need a little bit more light. But yeah, you can lean back here on this pole and sort of jerk these cables around to get some motion. But yeah, these drawings are so satisfying, especially backlit. Very similar to Genealogy, that transparency binder piece I made recently. Can't remember when exactly, but everything's very lacy and light, and I love the way they sort of gather in the center, making a sort of shadowy volume in there. And it's raining. I'm gonna turn the lights back on and I can show you the last two things. So this piece came next, I think, in the wild splash of things. Or at least I started it next. I probably didn't finish it next. I've had these pin boards up that she said I could use, and I had so much more material, and I was really enjoying working with the material, but I didn't want to like overwhelm this sort of more sparse and like meticulously composed thing. So this is a giant wall of fluffy laces, and it's beautiful, and I love it, and I want to wear it and live inside of it. And just the level of volume that you get, and oh God, I just love this thing. I love these these sort of loops of garland and little flags and all these tiny little skeletons, and the shiny metallics are just really nice. And just thoroughly enjoyed making this object. Oops. There we go. Yeah. And so sort of simultaneous to this, and also I just love this sort of like stark red and white like spot kind of, I guess, over here. And the way that the red sort of draws in, it's plastic, that red is plastic, so it's kind of wet too. So there's sort of like a dry, these drier colors over here, and the white and the red over here just like very shiny and wet. And then this piece, which is a ladder wearing a purple garland, and This color just gets inside my brain. These colors are like very much what the project is about, and the textures, and just love this like that like bend right there. Oh, I love this. This came together very quickly, but only after like a lot of experimentation. So yeah, that is the tour of my finished thing. I'm gonna take a bunch of pictures of it now and more like documentation videos. And tomorrow, we're gonna kill it all. 'Cause tomorrow's the last day of my residency and I get to like murder the whole thing, cut it all down, and it's gonna be really fun and like rip it apart, and very cathartic, like shredding incident is going to happen to this beautiful wall. So I've never worked in a space this big. I think this might be a total of 500 square feet. And now I want to do something 10 times as big in like a month. Like I want a month to fill it. But, oh man. I love making art. What can I say? There is no more joyful thing. Well, maybe except for snuggles. Okay, bye.